Okay, so it looks like we are live. And I, like everybody else, am going to be talking about the Alex Jones situation. Whether you agree with Alex Jones or not is irrelevant. It is completely and utterly irrelevant. Hey, Resist, you must have me on notifications. All right, so I'm just going to be quick about this. I'm just really going to be giving my 2 cents on the Alex Jones situation, whether you agree with it or not. So give me just a second here to get things set up. All right. Okay. So, as many people know, I served in the military. And one of those requirements is that you take an oath of office. And every federal employee, including Postal Service members, take that same oath of office. I swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, to obey the orders of those appointed over me. It's an oath that I took seriously and I still take seriously to this day. However, the situation with Alex Jones is not an issue of a First Amendment right. It's not an issue of him having his free speech taken away by the government. You can hear me all right, apparently. Okay, sorry. Forgot what settings I have on this, so I do a couple different settings for different things. Anyways, long story short, this is an issue of Alex Jones infringing on community standards by private companies. The reason why the reason why I'm able to interpret the rules of these community guidelines are so vague is so that they can punish people without having to give a specific line in the sand here and no further. You go beyond that point, you're in trouble. And I get it. However, I don't agree with those policies. I'm not saying that Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, etc., are violating his First Amendment free speech because they're not. They're not government entities. There's no, there is no point to argue that. I've had people talk to me about it, had people ask me about it, and honestly, like I'm telling you now, it's moot. It has no bearing on the situation. These are private companies, whether publicly traded or not. They're still private companies. They are allowed to enforce their rules how they want, much like the NFL does with their players. The new rules are if there's any potential chance that you're gonna kneel, you stay inside the locker room during the national anthem. I don't agree with what the NFL is doing, but again, they're a private business. It is their choice to do so. I'm still going to pay for my tickets. I'm still going to watch the Seahawks games. I'm still going to do what I do for football because I love the game of football. I love watching it. I love participating in it. Which reminds me, I've got to get my fantasy league going. But subject for another time. The point that I'm trying to make here, though, is these companies kowtow to the um, they kowtow to the far left, the progressive left, sometimes known as the regressive left. They sit there and pitch a fit whenever they are offended by somebody. Well, we all can't be perfect here. So, anyways, because just remember, at least our team was never known as the Aints. Sorry, Resist is giving me crap about my football team. Anyways, these companies kowtow to the regressive and progressive left, so much so that when their feelings are hurt by somebody speaking about issues that they find offensive, it is really and utterly wrong. It is one of those, in my opinion, it's utterly wrong that a business caves to those people. They are a minority, yes, and they are a very vocal minority. But most people, I never listen to Alex Jones. I've never watched InfoWars. If it comes across on my screen because somebody's talking about it, so be it. I don't actually go and click links to their shows, their channels. Mainly because I'm just not into the conspiracy theory side of things. It's not that I don't believe that things can't be done as inside jobs of the government, but the government can't hold secrets to save their freaking life. So it goes without saying. I despise Alex Jones's content in the conspiracy theory world. I just don't care for conspiracy theories like that. I think the man's just a self-aggrandizing, vocal, boisterous troll of the internet. I mean, I have no other way to put it. But I will go to bat 100 out of 100 times for this man's right to free speech. And again, I'm not talking about a First Amendment right. I'm talking about the basic human right of free speech. I have the choice to listen to things that offend me, I don't agree with, and counter those with my own discussions, with my own logics, with my own logical debates and things like that. I consider myself to be intelligent, knowledgeable on many things, but I don't consider myself to be overly intelligent, overly knowledgeable on a lot of things. And when that's the case, I tend not to voice an opinion on it until I learn about it. But when it comes to the basic fundamental right that we have a right to speak our minds, whether we're in a country that has a First Amendment constitution like the United States, or we are in a country like the UK, heck, even Iran, Iraq, and these Muslim countries that don't have actual free speech laws, I feel that we still have the right to free speech as a basic human right. Whether you agree with what the person says is irrelevant. Whether you like what they say is irrelevant. If you're offended by it, is irrelevant. You can choose to ignore it. You can choose to move on. But when companies have such vague rules, community guidelines, whatever you want to call them, that make it easy for you to be booted or have strikes against you to limit your access to either live streaming like this or um, posting videos or even appearing on any form of their platform if you've been suspended is crazy. It's you're basically saying I got to listen to this vocal minority to please them. Oh my gosh, I don't want hate mail. Well, it's time for YouTube. It's time for Google. It's time for Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, Apple, all of them to grow up, to grow a spine, and challenge these people and be like, look, we understand that you don't like this, that you're offended, and we're sorry to lose your business. But it is our belief that these people have the right to have a voice, to have a platform. My only limit to a free speech argument, my only limit to blanket, undeniable free speech is the actual call to violence against somebody, the actual call to harm somebody, their person, their property, their family, their friends. I would not want anybody to call out an attack on me or my family or my friends, whether I know them personally, like my very close group of friends, or whether I just know them by association here on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, wherever. I understand why people hide behind avatars, why people don't show their faces, why people insulate themselves from their rhetoric on social media. Heck, my Facebook page is private. It is set to private. I don't even let my boss who I'm very good friends with at work, and I would go hang out with after work anytime, anywhere. I'm not letting her on my Facebook until she is officially terminated from our job. She's actually leaving to for employment elsewhere. Once she is officially terminated from my job, I'll let her on my Facebook page. Even then, I do so hesitantly because I don't want my work to punish me for my opinion, for my voice here. And the same goes, and that's the way I look at it for the people who choose to hide behind avatars, who have different personas online. You know, I honestly don't I honestly don't fear that as much as other people. One, I'm a lowly YouTuber. I've got 15 subscribers to my name, but whatever. I don't care. What I care about is providing some counterbalance to the arguments that the left is providing. And the left, and again, I include myself on the left. I'm a left centrist left person. I'm a liberal. I do have some conservative points of view on some things, but for the most part, I'm liberal. I want us to have our right to free speech. I want us to have our ability to discuss things. And even if it becomes a heated shouting match, as long as at the end of the day we can agree to disagree, that is all that matters when it comes to discussion. But the problem is we don't. But the problem is we as a society, specifically in the Anglosphere, the Western, what we call the Western world, um, we have allowed ourselves to be pulled to two different extremes. Alex Jones is on one extreme, and the people who are rejoicing that he's been basically canceled for most of social media. I mean, what else do I have to say? I mean, we are caught in the middle of this, and yet we don't do we in that centrist group don't do a whole lot. Now there are some of us that are being vocal about this, hence the name of the video here. Again, I don't agree with Alex Jones on hardly anything at all, but that's not the point. He has the same right as I do to express his opinions, his thoughts, his colloquial theory, not scientific theory, but the one that everyday lay people use. And he's open for the criticism. He thrives on the criticism. He wants this. And now YouTube, Apple, all of them have made him a martyr. They have made him out to be, how do I put it? They've made him out to be this person almost worse than Hitler, almost worse than any other person in history. And why? Because he said stuff that you don't agree with, that he quote unquote put children in danger. I haven't watched any of his videos. I don't know. I don't know what was in them. But as long as he's not calling for actual violence against people, i.e., go kill all the insert minority there, or go kill all these, other group here. As long as there's no violence, go commit, conversion therapy on anybody you see, even though you're not a licensed therapist, etc. I don't think that those where they're actually, you can tell that they are being serious and calling the action. Those are the only times that those should be community guideline strikes. Or if, not flagging something properly for age restriction, etc. I mean, let's use some common sense here, people. If you don't like something, if you don't want to discuss something with somebody, if you don't like somebody's point of view, stop watching it. Oh, but my friends share it on YouTube and Facebook all the time and link me this stuff. So don't click the link. Scroll right past it on Facebook. Half of my Facebook feed, I scroll through and don't even think twice about touching. And it's not because my friends are sharing stuff that I'm not interested in. Well, that's part of it. But it's not because I don't like what my friends are sending me. It's just I don't have an interest in it. I don't want to. But rather than blocking those friends whom I do occasionally get snippets into their lives, I get snippets into their thoughts. It allows me a chance to stay connected with them in a way that I can't do most of the time because of working, because of school, because of doing this, you know. But at the same time, I have friends that I disagree with on many things and I will discuss with them on Facebook. And when I'm done with the conversation, I'm done and I walk away. Doesn't matter how many notifications I get after that. Doesn't matter if, 6 months down the road somebody else jumps in and rehashes something. Once I'm done, I'm done. And you too can do that. You don't have to challenge every single person out there that disagrees with you. You know, I'm starting to follow and subscribe to people like Christy Winters, uh, the Demotivated Opinion, or whatever Tim's name is on here. All these other people that are the left, the progressive left. I'm starting to follow them so I can get an idea of who and what they are. Not just what Bearing, not just what Sargon, not just what Ranting Monkey and other YouTubers tell me about them, but so I can understand what their opinion is. I don't agree with them. I don't like them. And if I didn't want to do anything, if I didn't want to have discussions with them, I would not watch them. I would see, oh, new video from so and so about so and so. That scrolling by, don't care. New video about this. Okay. It's that simple. It is literally that simple. But no, we have to rant and rave and mass flag content from people that we disagree with. That is cowardly. That is obnoxious. And what else can I say? I mean, seriously, what else should I say to that? People are just, how do I want to put it? People get overly offended by something where no offense is meant. Now, I understand what Alex Jones is. I've seen enough of their videos. I've seen enough of the social justice side of things. I have friends who regularly talk about Alex Jones, both from a leftist and a right point of view, who disagree with the man on many a thing. But I have many a friend that would vehemently defend him, like myself. Not because of his ideas, not because of supporting him in the sense of his policies or whatever, but supporting the man in his right to free speech. I know this is a rant, this is a ramble. It's not an actual, how do I want to put it? It's not an actual cohesive thought process for me. It is my unmitigated response, my beliefs that these people do not know what they are embarking upon. They What they see is the greater good for everybody by tackling these people with bad ideas, with wrong think, is entirely wrong in and of itself. It's one of those situations where it's like what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that phrase, that saying, but just because you don't agree with what he's doing, just because you don't agree with what he is saying, doesn't mean that he is wrong, doesn't mean that you are right. It just means that you need to move on from where you're at with him and treat, man, how do I want to put this? And just ignore it. If you're, like I said, if your friends, if anybody you know is sending you stuff about something you dislike, you have the choice to click the link. Nobody's holding a gun. Nobody's holding a gun to your head to say you will watch this. I mean, seriously, almost felt like vegan gains right there. But the point I'm trying to make and I can't stress this enough, is that regardless of whether you have a constitutional right to freedom of speech, we have an inalienable human right to freedom of speech. One should not be deplatformed like um, Lauren Southern and why can't I think of his name now? Uh, what's his name? Now I gotta go and look something up. This isn't great. Anyways, but you get my point. People who get deplatformed because people disagree with them. And then the rioters. No, I have no problem with people protesting at all. God bless you, hallelujah, whatever. Protest whatever you want. Just like in Portland this last weekend. I have no problem with protest, counter protests at all. But once you start committing violence, once you start acting upon it in a violent manner, your constitutional right here in the United States is gone, as far as I'm concerned. Peaceably assembling does not mean throwing bottles or anything like that, or even throwing punches at, for that matter. Disagreeing with each other, entirely something else. I mean, was it when Trump was in London or in the UK? Sargon went to go talk to the opposition, the people who disagree with him, and the police wouldn't let him because it might cause an incident. Well, it might not. You know, we have to be allowed to have our discourse. We have to be able to say what we have to say. And I, from what I know of Sargon, and I don't know him personally, I've never spoke to the man at all. But I can be assured that if he's told to walk away, if he's told, I don't want to discuss this with you, he'll walk away to the next person who's willing to talk to him. What's wrong with that? Honestly, what is wrong with that? Still bugging me about the. Oops, if I could spell today. Um, why can't I think of the name? Stefan Molyneux. That's what I was thinking of. This tour that Stefan Molyneux and Lauren Southern went on. Seriously, why are people trying to deplatform people like that? Carl Benjamin, anybody else? Um, Jeremy from the Quartering and Unsleeved Media this last weekend was at Gen Con and got assaulted because for what? Because the guy who punched him thought he was a Nazi. Yeah, let's just go around and just punch people because we assume they're Nazis. I mean, seriously, I'm at a loss for this. Free speech is one thing, violence is another. And deplatforming people, whether it be actual venue events like Berkeley, I mean, there's so much to go on in just the last few years that deplatforming somebody is not even. That's just cowardly, in my opinion. I don't go around, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but if he came here on a presidential election campaign tour to stop, I'm not going to go protest the man. I mean, heck, if Alex Jones ran for president in 2020, I am not going to go and protest the man. I don't care. The man is not ever going to get my vote, and I don't think he would get enough votes anyways. So it's a moot point. Now, I could be wrong, just like the media was wrong about Hillary Clinton. But it's not. But that's not the point. The point is the man has the right to speak freely. Protest if you want, but don't deplatform people. Don't threaten violence against a venue. Stop being little crybaby, pedantic children living off of mommy and daddy and get a real life. Grow up. I have no problem with you protesting anybody. I have no problem with, Jordan Peterson coming. Let's say Jordan Peterson came to Seattle to talk to people. I have no problem with you protesting. I have no problem with you shouting whatever it is you want to shout at people. But don't threaten the venue. Don't threaten the audience members with actual violence because they're choosing to go. Heck, some of the audience members are going to be people that are in your own community that want to hear him out. And if there's a Q&A session, offer challenges to his point of view. And I don't know if Jordan Peterson's coming to Seattle. I'm just using that as an example. It is where we as a society, where we as a social order are failing, is we've lost the decent respect of any and all human beings who disagree with us. Whether it be on something important, like, healthcare or the economy, things like that, to something as minor and trivial as I don't agree with your political beliefs. Oh, wow. You disagree with me. I better go curl up in a ball. No, really. I mean, seriously. Grow up, people. I mean, I've been going at this for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, maybe even half an hour now. I just cannot get over the fact that we have people that are literally sitting here deplatforming people, trying to how do I want to put it? Just threaten everybody just because you disagree, just because we disagree. And if you think that Facebook, Apple, Spotify, all the others are going to stop with just Alex Jones, bringing it full circle back to the title here, if you think they're going to stop with them, you're sadly mistaken. I'm just waiting for somebody else to wrong think, to speak out about the wrong thing, even though they might be right about it, even if they are wrong about it, and be deplatformed on social media. And I will not be surprised if the next one happens, and it's literally every social media platform, major social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, G+, all of it, all the major ones, Spotify, iTunes, etc. Just because somebody has spoken out against this. I mean, I would not be surprised if I wake up in the morning to a message from Google saying, "Hey, by the way, we've suspended your account because you spoke out against us." I will not be surprised. I'll fight it. I'll argue against it. But quite honestly, Alex Jones deserves the platform. He deserves the right. And again, I'm not speaking First Amendment. The human right to free speech. He deserves the right to spread whatever ideas he wants on whatever platform he wants. Yes, there is a co-agreement between the platform and the user. I get that. I'm not foolish. I'm not stupid. But it's time that these platforms really take a closer look at their community guidelines and realize that a bunch of crying, whining, sniveling people saying that they're offended by something and you need to take it off or we're taking our business elsewhere, take just let them take their business elsewhere. I mean, honestly, I mean that's the biggest thing is I don't want stupid focus. Um, that's just it. Is I don't want the far right, the far left to lose their platforms. If say Google and YouTube decided to drop, you know, Francesca, or Anita Sarkeesian, I doubt they would, but say they decided to drop one of them, I'll be right back here doing this again for their defense until these people and these higher ups realize that it's not just the vocal consumer that is deserves to be listened to. It's not just the users that spend their time catering to every little change in the rules, every little change in the user agreements. No, it needs to be, if you're going to say that you're a platform for free speech, for spreading ideas, then you need to represent those core ideas. I would gladly sit down and talk with Google. I'll gladly sit down with Facebook. I would gladly sit down with any of these social media networks and talk to them and explain to them that while we here in the United States have a First Amendment free speech right, that only protects us from the government. Just because a bunch of people downvote something doesn't mean that the whole community hates that channel. If you think about it, you know, I don't know. I'm losing my mind here just trying to think about this, trying to find any rational reason why somebody should lose their platform other than a call to violence, uh, actual violence against somebody. Yes, words may hurt your feelings, and it may cause you distress and emotional impacts. But you are just as responsible for preventing those in your life than content creators are. I'm sorry, but a little tough love every once in a while never hurt anybody. I don't want to sit here and say that people with legitimate mental health issues don't deserve, the opportunity to be heard. I I would welcome them to actually come out and voice their opinions. I would love them to, but I also understand that for some of them, that's debilitating. That is worse than anything to them. But at the same time, those that sit there and say that stuff's offensive and needs to be blocked, those people that have those mental health issues have abilities of their own to prevent them from seeing that stuff. It's just I'm gonna be running in circles if I don't stop soon. It the point of the matter, the real point of the whole matter is we have to have personal responsibility when it comes to these things. We have to have personal responsibility in how to deal with things that we disagree with, things that we find offensive. There are things that I find offensive that I see on YouTube and Facebook themselves, and I just go right on past them. If it's something that sparks my interest that I find offensive, I'll give it a chance. And if I get overly offended or if I find myself fuming over it, I stop whatever it is and I walk away. It's not that hard. Not that hard. Anyways, I have got to go to bed soon. I have to get up early. Thanks for hanging out with me. Resist. Thank you for the subscribing and everything. Um, for those that watch this later, any thumbs up, any shares, whatever you want to do. Thanks. Um, I'm going to update this. I don't know if this. Oh, let me check one thing really quick. And I'm just checking one quick thing on Twitter really quick. All right, I'm going to be putting a hashtag down in the comments here in a minute. So hopefully in this long rambling, this circular reasoning that I've been doing, I've got my point across to you. I hope that hopefully you'll understand that. I don't agree with everybody that says that Alex Jones deserves a platform, but I will defend the fact that he does deserve the platform. He does deserve his inalienable human right to free speech. Not a government granted right, a human right to free speech and to not be deplatformed. So, thank you. Have a wonderful night. And resist that's a video for another time. That's a hangout for another time, resist. He's asking how I feel about the feminist movement, and there's a lot to unpack there. So we'll talk about that later. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful week. I know it's getting hotter. Stay cool. If you're susceptible to heat, stay very cool. Stay in air conditioned buildings if you can. Go hang out at the mall for 16 hours.